The Disability Workshop Development Enterprise works to empower people with disabilities. The focus is on employment opportunities, enterprises and products made by people with disabilities. The company supports and facilitates transformational and protective workshops and is active in the Western Cape as part of a pilot project. We're joined by the CEO of the DWDE, Andre Deglo. Thanks so much, Andre, for joining us this morning. If we just look at what you aim to achieve, particularly with these workshops and some of the challenges that you've been facing.
Yes, our work continues to be about economic empowerment, or particularly employment creation, because it's a social challenge worldwide. Internationally, organizations are struggling with finding meaningful employment for people with disabilities. The reason for it are complex. But this year specifically, we're turning and we're looking towards the social economy and the meaningful contribution that the social economy can make towards providing employment for people with disabilities. And I think a broad definition of the social economy is that it comprises enterprises, businesses that use business principles to facilitate a social challenge.
Are you looking at alternative means of an income or employment? Because if you look at the number of graduates that we have, for instance, and the rising number of unemployment, there's scarce resources and job opportunities. So are you encouraging people with disabilities to start their own businesses and to create their own employment?
Yes, we have three different types of approaches. Firstly, we encourage people to start their own businesses. So we will help them with a start-up support that they might need, and we will then also link them up with other business developmental service providers. Then we also do facilitation into the open labor market, but with the social economy, we're really hopeful that we will advance the understanding of the social economy in providing employment for people who are a little bit further or more distant from the open labor market. We've also looked at international models. For example, the UK, Australia, Canada has a very vibrant social economy movement, where social entrepreneurs are counting the benefits that they're providing to the economy, not only in the profit that they are generating, but they're also counting the value that they're adding in terms of the social challenges that they are alleviating.
So work around the skills disparities and facilitating training opportunities to ensure that people with disabilities can take advantage of economic opportunities.
We work strategically with a number of training providers. We have a strategic partnership with the UCT Graduate School of Business, specifically their entrepreneurship development program. We also have different types of trainings, but it's always motivated at having the right kind of training for the right kind of person, for the right duration, and at the right time.
Yeah. Does industry and maybe government to an extent look at the quotas more in terms of the number of people with disabilities that they employ, as opposed to making that part of their business model, to employ a skill as opposed to a quota?
Yes, there's certainly a lot of pressure on government in terms of the Employment Equity Act, but not only on government. There's increasing pressure on government and mainstream business to at least be able to employ 2% of people with disabilities. But when we look at the Employment Equity Report, we see that for 1998, for example, we see that less than 1% of the total workforce of companies that report to the Employment Equity Commission have actually indicated that their staff are people with disabilities. So clearly we are, as a disability sector, we're becoming rather disillusioned because we've had now the Employment Equity Act, and it's been around for a long, long time. So one should now be starting to see some sort of change but it's not happening. Hence, we're looking towards the social economic movement where people are actually more committed to transforming communities and giving value to communities.
Yeah. Is it even more so difficult for people with disabilities to advance in the corporate ladder and occupy executive management positions based on be it the disability or be it that the company is not transformed enough?
I think business struggles generally to reconcile the idea of disability with competence,
Yeah, competence, yes.
with competence and ability. But that's a mindset change, because and that's why we're always working on at a lobbying level and an awareness raising and an information sharing level, because it's underpinned by, we think that perhaps having increased knowledge, it will lead to behavior change. But we also know that sometimes we know things, but we don't necessarily do them in the right way.
And the national convention that's coming up on the 6th of May, what is the mandate, and what do you hope to achieve with that?
It's quite an exciting initiative. We've worked very hard on this. So we will be hosting and organizing the National Disability Convention in partnership with the Department of Social Development, with the Danish People Organization of Denmark, as well as the International Labour Organization. And we are hoping to achieve bringing together the national disability sector, together with government, together with business leaders, and we're hoping to debate and share information about the social economy, number one, perhaps coming up with furthering our understanding of what is a social enterprise, how is it registered, is it a cooperative, is it an NPO, is it a CC, is it a P2I limited? Those are the kind of questions we'd like to ask. And then we want to look and focus specifically on how social enterprises can take on the benefit of or the challenge of employing people with disabilities. And then we would like the disability sector to at the end come up with a declaration where we are mandated to look more closely into what kind of legislative framework is necessary for the advancement, for the support of social enterprises. Because a social enterprise is really, it's an enterprise that can be started by change agents in the world. And so anybody can really start an enterprise. Yeah. And it can sometimes alleviate a range of different social challenges that can, for example, look at environmental issues, or a range of other.
Okay, it's 50 days to the World Cup, and I'm sure you're also taking advantage as the disability sector of business opportunities with the workshops, of course, of encouraging people with disabilities to create their own products, memorabilia, etc. Are you taking advantage of the economic opportunities?
Oh yes, we've got a range of products that are handmade, handcrafted, individualized, that will be available during the World Cup.
Oh, fantastic, Andre. We really wish you all the success, and let us know what the outcome is of your national convention. Thanks so much. We're speaking to Andre Daglon. She is the CEO of the Disability Development Enterprises, currently in the Western Cape. Find out all the information that you need. We'll give you details also a little bit later in the program. Share your thoughts with us, sunrise@etv.co.za, or you can simply send us an SMS on 34970. As mentioned, the contact details for a disability workshop is DWDE.co.za. That's www.DWDE.co.za.
Freedom Day is just around the corner, and Sunrise would like to get you, the viewer, involved on this special